Greetings and welcome to Geeks First. Today, we talk about the GTM magazine number 279. All that and more right now. Welcome back to Geeks First, and on today's episode, we're going to talk about a magazine that contains some interesting information about a game called Lorcana that I've been keeping an eye on. Now, I didn't want to talk about Lorcana until there was some actual concrete evidence of, well, anything other than fairy dust, which people have been speculating all sorts of stuff on, and that's cool for them, but I don't like to do as much speculating as more as I do like actually talking about games. A couple things to get out of the way. GTM is an industry magazine, which is available to most game stores that subscribe to this and can receive it sometimes early. And as you'll see, this says May. Number two, I did actually call Ravensburger because I was just wanting to be above board and confirm that it was okay to share this information. I talked to a lovely, nice lady on the phone, and she did say absolutely they were aware of this coming out. So you will probably be seeing this from other game stores posting the actual images. Now, I'm doing a video because that's just kind of the way I roll. And yeah, so grab your popcorn and let's enjoy a great conversation about exploring the game of Lorcana.
A few moments later.
This is my lunch today because everyone said if I don't make a video right now that it was going to get out there. It probably will, but that's okay. This is fun. Why popcorn is so addicting? Gosh, so good. We're going to do this on top of the Flesh and Blood map because that's what I have and that's what I play. So here is the GTM magazine number 279. This is an industry magazine that is given to people that subscribe to that or that are a part of the, I guess, distribution network or that sell games. So I sell primarily Flesh and Blood, Pokemon. I've worked on selling Magic in the past. I primarily sell Magic singles. And now obviously we have this brand new Lorcana magazine here. Which, again, should be probably hitting your store shelves at your local game store fairly soon. So I kind of expect by the time this video gets edited and out that this will probably have already been out there. But this is my unfiltered first look at Lorcana. And I want to explain why I haven't done any videos on Lorcana up to this point. And the reason I haven't is because really there hasn't been much information that has been publicly available other than just speculation. I mean, the rules didn't really exist. Now in this, I don't think this is going to have all rules, so to speak, but it's going to have a majority of things that that we can discuss. Now, as we go into the magazine here, you know, you'll see that, again, because it's an industry magazine, there's tons of, you know, advertisements for other stuff. But what caught my attention, obviously, is that here on page 12, this is where we're going to be seeing the game Lorcana by Ravensburger. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump to another page here that is kind of interesting. And that is the GTM 279 talks about the covers. And what's neat about this is I typically like to read this just because it kind of gives some information about the magazine and why they may have chosen to use a certain cover. There was one issue, a couple, maybe it was like 4 or 5 back issues. It was a Star Wars cover, and they had a couple different actual covers, arts that you could get. So it was just kind of an interesting little thing. There's also little comics and stuff in this, but again, that's not what you're here for. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into Lorcana. So on this, what's nice about this first page here is it's really talking about, at least from a person that is interested in seeing, you know, from a game store perspective, what is the game offering? Because again, there are rules, there's things that are over here. I don't know, maybe rules is not the right word, but items and how the card structure is. But from a person that knows nothing about this, you got to look at the whole picture. What would people be interested in? Is it going to be artwork? Is it going to be lore? Is it going to be gameplay? Is it going to be mechanics? Is it going to be, you know, play events? As in, are you going to come in and play at your local game store and have folks that are going to want to do organized play, which it does talk about over here. You know, it's talking here about how it's coming out with the starter decks. There's going to be 12 of them. That's in August 2023. So the official release date looks like is August 18th, 2023. That's actually stated down here. And as you look, this reminds me a lot of the Pokemon pre-constructed starter decks that exist. So there's going to be, like in Magic, there's, if I were to compare this personally, it's going to look like kind of the mana symbols, or in this case, you know, you have your swamp, your island, your forest, your plains, and let's see here, what one am I missing? Swamp, island, forest, plains, oh my gosh, and an island. Now, there are different, they call them inks, and it looks like, I believe there are 6 different inks from what I can gather, and that is over here. So you got the amber, the emerald, the sapphire, the amethyst, the ruby, and the steel. And one of the interesting things about this is it does look like that, as they're describing that, it's an exciting collectible card game featuring the glimmers of Disney characters who appear in both familiar and reimagined forms. Developed by Ravensburger, Disney Lorcana is designed to be accessible and welcoming for all newcomers in the TCG, offering a strategic depth and challenges for experienced players. Now, that is a lot to break down. If you were to truly pause, read nothing else, ignore everything else that's here, and just go for this, that means that they are both targeting probably children that want to play the game, because obviously Disney is a childhood. I have plenty of memories of watching like Aladdin as growing up, things like that. So there are going to be characters that exist in this game that I'm going to have some sentimental attachment to, but there are others that I won't. And it looks like they're going to have layers of complexity to this game that will exist. Now, I have been told, because I shared some of this information to talk with somebody who's probably much more in the know than me, DM Armada, and he made the comparison to Keyforge as a game. Now, I personally did not play Keyforge, so I can't really correlate those two together, but I'm going to listen to his video and get his thoughts on it as well. But what's nice about this is it looks like, on top of this, they have different playmats. Obviously, I expect that in any card game. Card sleeves, dice, oversized cards, which, not that I'm trying to pick on Flesh and Blood, but Flesh and Blood currently does not have any oversized cards. But like the old card games of yesteryear, you could learn, like as an example, this is from the World of Warcraft trading card game. They had oversized cards as well, and it looks like Disney Lorcana will also have that. What's nice is because they have different product offerings, you'll have a booster box, which in this case, it does look like there'll be 24 packs per. So Magic is sometimes 36, Flesh and Blood's 24, Pokemon's 36. So this is kind of interesting. I don't know if there's maybe a way to draft this. That'd be kind of a cool idea or concept. I'm not really sure how that's going to play out. You can start to see some of the card and character arts that are here. Again, I'm not really in the know of what's been spoiled and what's not, but I did immediately get drawn to these two here. And what's really unique about these is that I can already tell that there's a difference in the symbols that are in the upper corner. And that leads me to the breakdown of a card. So now that there's a breakdown of the cards available, we're going to, at least for me, I'm going to try to dissect what's on the cards and what they really mean. So again, up here we have the cost, which is essentially just like the converted mana cost to play in Magic, or like for Pokemon, it's, I guess it wouldn't really relate too much to Pokemon, but maybe like because there's energies. So anyways, you have a converted mana cost. You got the Inkwell icon. Now the Inkwell icon here looks like that's their way of essentially using energy or land, or in Flesh and Blood, the pitch system. So it looks like and why I point that out is it looks like not every card is going to be inkable or able to be pitched. So that also will add to the complexity of decks, meaning that in these pre-constructed decks, I'm assuming that not every card can be used for ink, and not every card that is in the deck will be some sort of maybe like action, which just says here is an action, so it'll probably power it up or something of that effect. That's pretty neat. Next here is obviously we got the character name, and then it says a version name listed below. So I'm assuming that on this you might have instead of Wayward Sorcerer, you might have Lost Magician, or there can probably be 10 or 20 different variations over the course of the game's development that will contain these character names in different forms, and that gives the game some form of ability to bring characters back, and maybe even in different forms from different movies or different series, that might give them really an infinite engine to have at that point. Interestingly enough, there is obviously the effects and abilities. Now here, I want to read this verbatim because it's kind of nice. It says the card's special rules on actions. These are called effects. On characters and items, most abilities have story-based names, especially common abilities, instead of bolded keywords like rush in the example below. So where they're talking about here, rush, it says in parentheses, this character can challenge the turn they are played. Essentially, that is like haste in Magic the Gathering. I do want to circle back over here because I feel like I should probably talk about this. It says in Disney Lorcana, you'll race against other players to gather lore scattered across the realm. The first player to gather 20 lore wins. Taking the role of an Illumineer who wields magic ink, you use 60 cards in the game, including glimmers of Disney characters, as well as items, songs, and more to gather lore and challenge your opponents. Players can build their deck using up to 2 inks or use one of the pre-constructed decks. Now, what that means is it seems like you can either have one color or one amber deck, or you can do amber amethyst or amber emerald or any combination, but you can only have, it looks like only have 2. Down here it says you'll begin the game with a hand of 7 cards. You'll draw a new card each turn, and once per turn you You may turn a card into ink, which you can use to play other cards from your hand. All cards have an ink cost that can be paid from your inkwell, and more cards you have in your inkwell, the more powerful cards you can play, and the more you can do. Choose which cards to add to your inkwell carefully. And I'm assuming that means that once you've put them in your inkwell, they are, metaphorically, in this case, basically being blotched away and turned into just ink. To gather lore, you'll need to send your characters on quests for it. On your turn, you can exert those glimmers and have them join the quest. Just turn them sideways to show they're exerted, and you will get an amount of lore shown on their cards. You can also exert your characters to challenge other characters and perhaps even banish them. This can really slow a player down since there needs to be a character to gather lore. Only exerted characters can be challenged, though, so think ahead when you're deciding which ones to exert. There'll be an open challenges for your opponent's turn. So that is kind of neat, and they do talk about exerting over here in this image, which essentially would be in the Magic World tapping. Pokemon, I believe this, that kind of would indicate like if you're poisoned or whatever. There was other, but realistically that's mostly related toward the Magic the Gathering side. Rarity symbols. It does look like they have a full suite of common, rare, uncommon. They have something called super rare, which is like one above a rare, and then legendary. This, for people that play Flesh and Blood, it actually kind of looked similar to the original indication of rarity level in Flesh and Blood. I guess there's other games that have used this same system as well. Basically, any game system is going to probably have commons, uncommons, and rares. Whether or not super rares or legendaries, anything above there, there's hundreds of names people can choose. So, next bit of information here is characters can challenge and deal each other damage equal to their strength, so they can receive damage from other effects outside of a challenge. It does add up over time, so you have to keep track of the damage counters, which explains, by the way, why when I looked at one of the there's a section in the back here in this middle, I'm teasing it a little bit there, that there were some products, and they say they come with a lot of tokens, and I'm assuming that is like damage counters in Pokemon, so you have to keep track of a lot of this stuff, and the more you have a board state, the more things that are on the board, the more those you'll have to do that. If the number of damage counters in the character reaches their willpower, they are banished in the discard pile. You can go to this Disney website and find more. Right now it's not really updated, so this is what you got. Over here you can see that this is the strength, the willpower, and the lore value. So these little ink wells, I guess, or whatever you want to call them, or little markers. I think I do remember, I think DM's video, he did call those as some sort of win con. So it looks like those are, in this case, when you quest with it. So I'm going to exert it to go questing, and I would gain 2 inkwell or 2 quest, which, because you have to get 20, that means that he'd have to do it 10 times based on my understanding. But the more and more people you get, the more options for questing that would be around. It sounds like you can, do multiple quests per turn, obviously exert them so that you can have somebody attack them and, try to knock them out. But yeah, so that is a lot of the basic information. Go ahead and here's this for if you want to read over that. They do talk about the Lorcana League and game night here. So a fun and friendly way to play, trade, and collect with the Lumineers. 12-week event broken up into 3 rounds. You can earn league points and win and lose by participating casually on Disney Lorcana matches. Best of 2-3 games. Lorcana in related activities such as teaching someone how to play. Prizes are awarded through participation. Ravensburger tournaments in the future will give fans bigger opportunity to provide their talents. And then it talks about here again the August 18th, which is during Gen Con. Gen Con, by the way, is awesome. If you've never been, that's a fantastic show. All right, and that's in Indianapolis, Indiana. That's where I'm at, by the way. That's where this came. Ha-ha! Hee-hee! Well, that is all that. And that's the next page. So we're going to look for the next piece in here that is Lorcana. And I believe when I looked earlier, it is right here. All right. Now, these, again, are this magazine is, again, back to the point of this magazine. This is a solicit to stores saying, what do you have to offer your customer, and what would your customer possibly want? So in the Disney Lorcana, it looks like there's going to be offerings of certain card sleeves. Now, the hook one there, that's pretty cool. I would actually even honestly play that in some Flesh and Blood games, because you don't have, card sleeves are universal. You can use them for any game, but that artwork there, I really do, I don't know, I've always been, that character has always spoken to me. So you got deck boxes, again, they show the same 3 over here. You got play mats, again, I imagine Disney's going to pull no stops on some of the most famous artwork from the Disney lore, and I'm imagining that you're going to see all sorts of really interesting playmats come and go. The Flesh and Blood does a fantastic job, by the way, of playmats. There's too many to even talk about, but they have some of the most fantastic, artwork and lore-based scenes on some of their mats, so that's pretty awesome. Card folios are basically just things that are very similar to, your card storage systems, and every game pretty much has those as well. Now, when you flip this open, this is the part I'll come back to, but you have this kind of full art Maleficent Sinister Visitor here, and I know I don't have that all on one page, so I will zoom out for those of you who want to screenshot that, because you're gonna enjoy that much better, I'm sure. So there you go, and I'm gonna zoom back in now. Oh. All right, so looks like over here it's called First Chapter. So that, to me, indicates that they have plans to make this go for a while. And in this first chapter, it looks like, here it's 2 players, need 60 card decks. These starters are going to be, basically Amber and Amethyst, Emerald and Ruby, Sapphire and Steel. So there's a couple of different ones here, and you can see those printed out here. Now it says there will be 60 cards, 2 foils, so there's going to be foils in the deck, 11 game tokens, 1 rule book. There you go, right there, rule book. I know I have been... some of you may not know what I'm talking about, but that right there is one thing currently Flesh and Blood does not do. They don't include rulebooks in their game, but this, to me, this is good. This means I don't need the internet to learn the game if I don't have to, or I can just hand this to somebody and they can be off and have fun. It is cool that they do have 1 booster pack. It says 12 random cards, so we'll see if, and that looks like it's the same down here, so a booster pack is 12 random cards. Looks like the booster packs are going to be 24 per box. You're going to get 6 commons, 3 uncommons, 2 rares, super rare, or 2 of rare plus, basically, and then 1 foil card. So that pack structure is very similar to Pokemon, very similar to Magic, and even Flesh and Blood. And then on this last page here, this is that box I was talking about earlier where I said the lots of tokens, 34 game tokens. So I don't know if there are more game tokens that would need to be talked about, but these are those oversized foil hero cards. And again, that's what I was showing earlier with that World of Warcraft card. So it looks like they're going to have these oversized heroes that you could, again, maybe leverage to put out and exert and have fun with. So that's kind of nice. They are foil, so that'll be kind of curious to see how those look. I believe this one, there's an MSRP on this. I think it's like $35, I don't remember. And then these here are similar to Pokemon Elite Trainer boxes. They are going to both have a storage box. It looks like inside of that storage box, 2 deck boxes. You get 8 booster packs, which over the years for Pokemon, they've gone from, I think, 10 or 12 I've seen down to 8. So this seems pretty average for what that is. So 3 of these is the equivalent of 1 booster box, just as an FYI. So if you start doing some cost EV analysis there, you can start looking at, okay, you might get some other stuff. Like, again, you'll get extra game tokens, a player guide. But you're not getting, like, the one thing that's missing here is you don't get like a dice. There's not something that's like, you get this dice, but it doesn't seem like this game uses dice, so I can assume that that's probably why they're not in there. And now we're going to jump over to, we got a image here of Mickey Mouse, the brave little tailor. There is a lore story piece here, which this apparently is on their website, so I won't spend too much time on that. And then over here, this is the final thing where we're going to end the video. We have the Lorcana Elsa Snow Queen image, and then this was where they talk about the inks. And one of the most interesting things that I see here is this kind of begins to maybe structure the archetype of how these play out. So Amber, Amethyst, Emerald, Ruby, Sapphire, and Steel. Under Amber here you have, purposeful Amber glimmers protect their friends at all costs. So these are, in my opinion, would be closer to like cards that would defend, like in Magic the Gathering. This would be typically maybe the white color. Then over here, glimmers use their power to keep their options open. That's pretty vague. I don't really know how to interpret that. Then flexible emerald glimmers can adapt to overcome nearly any situation. So maybe they're tricky, or they can, get in and out of sticky scenarios. Then over here we have ruby glimmers. Ruby glimmers use speed and bravery to defy the odds. So probably they're going to have, like, again, that ability we saw earlier that's like haste that'll come in. They can attack same turn. And then down here you have Sapphire. Brilliant Sapphire glimmers are the best tools for the job. So they're probably going to be able to search and get things out and kind of maybe tweak your deck as you go. And then over here, Steel. Powerful glimmers rely on brute force to forge ahead. So these are probably going to be your big giant beat sticks that are going to want to go in and go from there. Now, that I'm aware of everything. Obviously, there's a lot of other things in this magazine that you can read, but for now, that's it. Well, thank you so much for tuning into our video today. I very much appreciate you sticking with me. This is an unconventional video, but I don't know. What do you think of Lorcana? Do you think that the game will take off and go like Pokemon? You think it'll have its nice cult following, or do you feel that it will land somewhere in between? I still obviously want to see some physical gameplay. I want to kind of experience the cards. I want to see the card quality. I'd like to, kind of gauge how other game stores are going to start looking at this product. Obviously, it's Disney. There's going to be people that are going to want this. It's going to sell. I have no doubt that this will sell out everywhere. I have no doubt that literally day one, these products are going to be scalped for hundreds and hundreds of dollars over MSRP. I've even seen some videos just, kind of talking about that the allocation numbers on these, from what I'm gathering, even if the store says they want a large supply, probably won't get that much on wave one. So that's typically not a good thing for a game when the demand is so high, but the supply is not there to meet that. But at the same time, I think that if you're patient and you kind of think things through, as well as work with your local game store, don't spend way more over MSRP on anything coming out, because I don't think that that's going to be a good, viable, long-term solution for you, your wallet. I think the game's going to be interesting. I'm going to get a little bit of each product. I'm going to do a little bit of reviews on it just to see where it is. But overall, jury's still out. It looks good. But I'll wait to see it at Gen Con. So if you're at Gen Con, I'll check you out there. And until next time, Jacob signing out, and may your games be fun and your friendships grow. Peace. One last thing to follow up. It's not a leak. And I got permission, in case that wasn't clear. So even if it was a leak, I asked, they said cool. So FYI, not a leak. I'm actually surprised I haven't seen anybody else talk about it yet. Welcome back to Geeks First, the channel that talks about all things TCG. I'm your host, Jacob. And today, we have a very special, well, seemingly special, game trade magazine that we can talk about. And a couple things right off the cuff. So, this is definitely going to be a popcorn eating moment. First, yes, I did get this mailed to me. Second, I actually did call Ravensburger directly and talked with a very nice lady on the phone and did confirm that there is absolutely no problem, that they know that this thing went out and that I can talk about it. And three, yeah, I'm just happy to be here. So, this is going to be my first take in looking at Lorcana in general. So sit back, enjoy, grab your popcorn, and we're going to go to a top-down view so we can talk about it. All that and more right now.